I got the moves. I got the moves. I'm making moves. You gotta move. You gotta make the city move. Like, whoa. I make the city move. I got the move.
As we approach All-Star Weekend and the voting returns come in, us NBA fans start to get an idea of who the more popular players are in the league, as let's be real here, the fan voting for the All-Star game is just a popularity contest. One thing we also get to see are players that get heavily undervoted and some players that get barely any votes at all, even though they are great All-Star level NBA players themselves. We also get to see this when major media outlets constantly post average players on the timeline just because they play for a team like the Lakers. So, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing some spotlight on 5 guys who I think are the top 5 most underrated players in the league due to the lack of media coverage about them. If you're new here and enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe for more NBA content. But with that being said, let's get right into this top 5.
Lucas.
Number 1. Rashad Holmes, Sacramento Kings. Coming in at number 1 is Rashad Holmes from the Sacramento Kings. After losing Willie Cauley-Stein in the offseason to Golden State, the Kings needed someone to step up and fill his role, and Rashad Holmes has done that and more. He's been great in his extra minutes and has overall improved across the board this year. This season, Holmes is averaging 13 points and 8 rebounds on fantastic efficiency, 66% from the field. Yes, 66%, and he's also shooting over 80% from the line, which is amazing for a big man and really for any player. That field goal percentage is 3rd overall in the league, behind only Rudy Gobert and Mitchell Robinson. Whilst the Kings have struggled a bit this year and have not been able to maintain the success of last season, Rashad Holmes is another bright piece on the squad that I personally believe doesn't get talked about enough. We hear about Buddy Hield and De'Aaron Fox and how special they could become all the time, but I think we should be having a similar discussion with Rashad Holmes. He is having a fantastic breakout season and his all-star potential is on full display every time he steps onto the court. I mean, Dwayne Dedmon has literally requested a trade due to him getting no playing time, and the reason why he gets none is because Rashad Holmes has just been so good. I don't think the Kings or anyone really expected him to be this good of a contributor this early and become a core piece for the franchise. Unfortunately though, I don't hear his name being talked about nearly enough. Maybe it's due to the Kings' lack of success, but if you look past that, Holmes is having a great individual season, and honestly, it needs to be talked about a lot more. Number 2. Kelly Oubre Jr., Phoenix Suns. Kelly Oubre Jr. has been absolutely brilliant this season and has thrived in Phoenix's system. Unfortunately, this success hasn't been talked about nearly enough. After being traded from Washington back in the early stages of last season, Oubre has dominated from the get-go in Phoenix. He's averaging 18 points per game this season and is shooting quite decently as well. When Kelly Oubre gets hot though, he gets hot. In a streak of 5 games in early January, Oubre averaged 26 points per game and led the Phoenix Suns to 4 wins in that 5-game stretch. That's just insane, and it really needs to be talked about more, but it doesn't. He also brings a heap of energy and hype to the organization, and don't get me started on his posterizers, there's just too many to count. Overall with Kelly Oubre, I don't think he's that underrated, at least not to the extent of some of the other players on this list. However, whenever the media focuses on Oubre, which they do quite frequently I'll admit, I personally feel like the attention is based around the meme Oubre, not the star Oubre. They look at his insane athleticism, the dunks and posters, the crazy chase down blocks, and the energy he feeds off of these plays. But what I think they fail to give light on is his amazing ability to score the ball at will and be able to heat up in a matter of moments. Again, look at that 5-game stretch where he averaged 26 points a game. He was showing off his all-star potential. That was insane, and I think I only saw 1 or 2 small pages give notice to it. Everyone talks about how good the duo of Booker and Ayton are and how they are the future of Phoenix, but I think Oubre needs a lot of credit too. what he's doing this season is amazing and should not be overlooked any further, because to be quite frank, he is starting to become the heart and soul of the Phoenix Suns. Number 3. Dennis Schroder, Oklahoma City Thunder. Just before I started editing this video, I noticed Michael Zemba uploaded a video on the most underrated players in the league, and one of the players he said was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. This is pretty funny to me, as he's not even the most underrated player on this team. Dennis Schroder is. Coming off the bench, Schroder is thriving in OKC with averages of 18.3 points, 3.8 assists, and 3.8 rebounds per game, as well as shooting over 46% from the field. Schroder also had a 10-game stretch to begin the month, of which he averaged over 23 points per game. With guards like SGA and Chris Paul on the team, I think people start to overlook the production and impact of Dennis Schroder and how good of a player he actually is. As it stands right now, Schroder is arguably the favorite for Sixth Man of the Year, and to me, he is. His great stats, his ability to be efficient in the clutch, and more have all led him to be in contention for this award, and still, his name barely gets a mention when talking about OKC's success. I hear all the time about CP3 and Shai and how they've transformed this team into a playoff contender when they looked like they would be flailing on the outside, but I think a lot of it doesn't have to do with them. Yes, they have played a large part of it, but guys like Schroder are doing just as much and really need to be given more credit. So, next time you watch OKC play, keep an eye out for Schroder. The impact he makes on the game is just as important as the stars, and he's playing a big part in their surprise success story this season. He's been clutch, his stats are great, averaging close to 20 a game, and he's looking like a future perennial all-star at this rate. Number 4. Dillon Brooks, Memphis Grizzlies. The next guy I want to talk about is Dillon Brooks. After a couple mediocre seasons with Memphis, Dillon Brooks has been one of the more unknown breakout players this year, and really deserves more attention and credit for how well Memphis has been playing. In 28 minutes per game, Brooks is averaging 15 points a night, 8 more than last season, which is great. He's another offensive weapon Memphis can bring out if they desperately need a bucket, and he's generally been reliable for them this season. In the Grizzlies' recent 6-game win streak also, Brooks averaged 20.3 points per game during that, and this amazing play was literally talked about not once. Not once. I don't know if it's due to the hype around Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr., but whenever I hear someone talk about Memphis, Brooks' name is almost never brought up, and if it is, it's for like 15 seconds. Personally, Brooks is the most underrated player in the league to me, because not only is he having a most improved player worthy year, not only does he have great stats, but he's contributing to a winning franchise and making a difference. Guys like Rashad Holmes are underrated in their own right, but Brooks is different. He's helping Memphis turn themselves into a legitimate playoff team from a potential bottom feeder, and he's getting absolutely zero credit for it. Ja Morant is obviously leading the pack, and I'm not trying to take away anything he's doing, but without the guys like Brooks backing him up, who knows what seed they'd be. Overall, it's time to give Dillon Brooks more credit. Memphis would not be in the position they're in without him. He's been absolutely phenomenal in his role. Number 5. Domantis Sabonis, Indiana Pacers. And finally, we have Domantis Sabonis from the Indiana Pacers. In his 4th NBA season now, Sabonis is continuing to improve and is currently averaging 17.8 points per game and 12.9 rebounds, so he's basically averaging 18 and 13, which is amazing. The only 2 other players to average numbers similar to this season are Andre Drummond with 17.3 points and 15 rebounds, and Giannis Antetokounmpo with 30 points and 13 rebounds. Giannis is treated by the media as an MVP frontrunner, which he is, and Andre Drummond is treated by the media like an all-star. This leads me to my point. If these three guys are the only players in the league to average over 17 points and 13 rebounds, why are only 2 of them considered as all-stars? You may say you think Sabonis is an all-star himself, and I think he is too, but I've literally seen no one talk about him as being a potential all-star this year. Bam Adebayo is averaging 16 and 10, and some consider him as a starter for the all-star game, but Sabonis has seemingly barely been nominated. Obviously, the fan votes say different, with Sabonis receiving more votes than guys like Drummond, but my point remains. You may say it's due to team success and whatnot, that may be why no one's really talking about Sabonis or the Pacers in general, but the Pacers are only 2 games behind the Heat when recording this video, and their all-star isn't even back from injury yet in Victor Oladipo. The reason why they're even in contention for a home court seed is because of Domantis Sabonis, and yet he's still getting limited attention and credit for the amazing play he's putting on display for us this season by the media. He's averaging 3 more points per game, 4 more rebounds, and his assist total has doubled from last year. Again, it's good to see him getting some recognition in the all-star votes from the fans, but I think he does need more from the mainstream media. The Pacers are playing as well as they are in large thanks to him, and it really needs to be talked about more. And that will conclude the top 5. Those are the guys I believe are the most underrated and underappreciated this season. Let me know if you agree with this list and tell me your top 5 down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop it a like and subscribe. But with that being said, I am out. Peace.